Hello friends, and welcome to Rotten Tomatoes Countdown. In case you haven't noticed, it's been a pretty amazing 5 years or so for Spider-Man movies, both live action and animated, with the animated sequel Across the Spiderverse being the latest to hit theaters. And of course, the theatrical web that was previously spun from earlier Spidey flicks may not have always been perfect, but it's what got us to where we are today. And that is me about to start slinging the 10 best Spider-Man movies ranked by Tomato Meter. And my Spidey sense tells me that this is going to be a good one. Number 10, Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So this marked the second film in Sony's Spider-Man universe and the sequel to 2018's Venom. With Andy Serkis serving as director, Tom Hardy once again played Eddie Brock, still struggling to coexist with the shape-shifting extraterrestrial Venom. But in this film, they're forced to put their differences aside to take on the film's big baddie, played by Woody Harrelson, who becomes the host of a Venom offshoot named Carnage. And let's just say, Venom and Carnage definitely had a fun chemistry together.
Eddie, over here! You need to come out right now, and I will let you eat everybody! You can eat them all! Apart from him, in the robe, you cannot eat him. Promise! I promise! Thank you!
So Let There Be Carnage is the only rotten movie on this list when it comes to the tomato meter, with critics mostly criticizing it for leaning into the comedy and just trying to please fans. In related news, audiences loved it, and its abundance of action, fun fight scenes, and all the comedy. But most importantly, everyone loved the can't-miss mid-credit surprise that basically places Venom into the MCU for future films. Number 9, Spider-Man III. So this fresh film marks the final installment in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy and is set 1 year after the events of 2004's Spider-Man 2. Not only did number 3 introduce Gwen Stacy to the franchise, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, but the movie also loaded up on villains. That includes Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman and Topher Grace as Venom, along with an alien symbiote that bonded with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and amplified his powers and all of his negative traits, which gave us this version of Peter Parker. With a budget nearing $350 million, this was the most expensive film ever made at the time of its release. Then it grossed almost $891 million worldwide, making it the highest grossing Spider-Man film ever until Spider-Man Far From Home came in 2019. Now, a fourth installment called Spider-Man 4 was set for a 2011 release, but it was canceled due to Sam Raimi's withdrawal over creative differences. But thankfully, and somewhat surprisingly, this turned out not to be the end of Tobey wearing the suit due to the many universes of Spider-Man. Number 8, The Amazing Spider-Man. This was a reboot of the film series following Sam Raimi's trilogy and is the first of 2 Amazing Spider-Man films before another reboot. So this time around, it was Andrew Garfield winning the Spidey lottery, who admitted to shedding tears the first time he donned the suit, and frankly, I don't blame him. The film was released as part of the 50th anniversary of Spider-Man's first appearance in the comics, and it also shares the title of the character's longest-running comic book run. And one major new design this iteration introduced from the comics was Spider-Man having artificial web shooters, which he actually used to battle against the bad guy known as Lizard, played by Rhys Ifans.
All these souls, lost and alone, I can save them. I can cure them. There's no need to stop me, Peter.
Now, The Amazing Spider-Man is a certified fresh 71% on the tomato meter, with critics praising it for the well-chosen cast that also includes Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy and Dennis Leary as her father. Number 7, Spider-Man. This was the first ever live-action Spider-Man film, released in 2002 as part of the 40th anniversary of the character. Development actually began in the 1980s, though, with various filmmakers involved at different times, including James Cameron. It was finally licensed for release by Columbia Pictures in 1999, with director Sam Raimi on board, who was widely known for creating the popular Evil Dead series. And of course, the honor of the first ever live-action Spider-Man went to Tobey Maguire. Cue the Tobey fight scene.
Help him, Harry!
Which one? It's all yours, man.
Now, this certified fresh live action debut became the first ever film to reach $100 million in a single weekend, and it became the most successful comic book and superhero movie ever at the time, with, get this, nearly $822 million earned worldwide. And I'm just gonna go out a limb and say it was all because of that upside down kiss. Number 6, Spider-Man Far From Home. This sequel to 2017's Spider-Man Homecoming marked the end of Phase 3 in the MCU, taking place 8 months after the events of 2019's Avengers Endgame. I know, it is a lot to keep track of, but I got you. Now, in it, Tom Holland's Peter Parker is recruited by Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury and Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio to square off against bad stuff known as elementals while on a school trip to Europe. You know, the basic stuff that you have to face when you're on a school trip. But of course, Peter is still trying to figure out all of his fancy gadgets from Stark Industries.
Commencing second strike.
Peter, plant your fanny in that seat and buckle up right now.
Look at the baby mountain goats!
Baby mountain goat. Ooh, okay, I'm sick.
Now, Far From Home is certified fresh on the tomato meter, and it became the first Spider-Man film to pass the $1 billion mark at the box office. On top of that, Holland and his co-star Zendaya both won Teen Choice, Saturn, and People's Choice Awards for their performances in this film. Let's swing through our list so far of Spider-Man movies ranked. Can you use your Spidey senses to guess our top spot? Number 5, Spider-Man Homecoming. This marked the beginning of the second Spider-Man film reboot and was directed by John Watts, who would go on to direct the next 2 in the series as well. After beating out names like Nat Wolff, Asa Butterfield, and Timothée Chalamet, Tom Holland earned the coveted role of Peter Parker this time around, first playing the character in 2016's Captain America: Civil War. At 19 years old, Holland was the youngest actor to be cast as Peter, and he brought a certain greenness to the red and blue suit that certainly endeared fans.
Yes! Yes!
Hey. I didn't tell you where. You don't have a location.
Right, of course. Yeah, my bad. Silly. Yeah. Where is it?
Can I give you some advice? You gotta get better at this part of the job.
I don't understand. I'm intimidating.
Staten Island Ferry, 11.
Oh, that's soon. Hey, that's gonna dissolve in 2 hours.
No. Come fix this.
2 hours. You deserve that.
I got ice cream in
You
here,
deserve
man.
that. You're a criminal. Bye, Mr. Criminal.
Homecoming also featured the Michael Keaton as the villain Vulture, a role that he almost missed out on due to scheduling conflicts. And this film boasts an impressive 92% certified fresh score on the tomato meter, with critics calling it, quote, a colorful, fun adventure. Number 4, Spider-Man 2. Okay, so this is the second installment in the first Spider-Man trilogy. Once again, starring Tobey Maguire and directed by Sam Raimi. Although it actually could have looked a bit different, considering Maguire sustained a back injury filming Seabiscuit in late 2002. And Sony was in negotiations with Jake Gyllenhaal to replace him if necessary. Luckily though, his back recovered enough for him to come to set and stop a speeding train. inspiration for the film came from various story arcs from the comics in the 1960s, including the comic book debut of Dr. Octopus in 1964. In this film, he was played by Alfred Molina, who would reprise the role 16 years later in Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 3, Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, this one marked the third film in the trilogy with Tom Holland starring, and it picks up with a now unmasked Peter Parker asking Doctor Strange for help. But they end up breaking open the multiverse and allowing in plenty of unwanted guests like Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, Jamie Foxx's Electro, and, like we mentioned just now, Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus. Oops. Now, of course, rumors swirled for a while that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire would also be starring as their iterations of Spider-Man from past non-MCU films, and sure enough, they did, and it was the best. And it's a good thing, too, because our Peter, aka Peter number 1, definitely needed some help with all those aforementioned bad guys.
Yelling at you, Peter 2, Peter 2, Peter 2.
I know, but I thought you were Peter 2.
What? I'm not Peter 2.
Stop arguing, both of you. Listen to Peter 1. Look, we're clearly not very good at this.
I know, we suck. I don't know how to work as a team.
Me neither.
Well, I do. I have been in a team, okay? I don't want to brag, but I will. I was in the Avengers.
The Avengers?
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
What is that?
Wait, you don't have the Avengers?
Is that a band? Are you in a band?
Bringing back all the old actors proved financially beneficial for No Way Home, which became the highest grossing film of 2021, despite there being 4 Marvel releases that year. Plus, it was also the highest grossing Spider-Man movie ever and the 6th highest grossing film of all time. All I gotta say is money. Number 2, Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. This sequel to the animated Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse came 5 anticipated filled years later, and this time around, Miles Morales, aka Spider-Man, ventures out, as in the film showcased various Spider-Verses, with each having their own distinct look. And of course, with all those Spider-Verses came new Spider-Heroes too. So joining stars like Shameik Moore, Haley Steinfeld, and Jake Johnson were names like Issa Rae, Daniel Kaluuya, and Oscar Isaac, just to name a few.
All stations, drop what you're doing and stop Spider-Man.
Wait, me?
Miles Morales, he's entering Sector 4.
Do I, have web on my face? What's the deal?
Miles, he's right there, he's right. Turn around!
I don't see anything, boss.
And it turns out the wait was worth it, because critics were totally feeling this animated Spidey yet again, with a consensus calling it, quote, visually dazzling and action-packed as it thrills from start to cliffhanger conclusion. Cliffhanger conclusion is right, because you will definitely leave that movie wanting more. And finally, number 1, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. Because The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is definitely not in the number 1 spot, sitting at the top of this list is the first animated feature film in the Spider-Man franchise, which is based on the Marvel Comics character Miles Morales. Miles is a Brooklyn teenager voiced by Shameik Moore who is transformed into Spider-Man only to find out that there are many others who share his talents.
Okay.
My room!
Why is this happening? Please stop sticking. Please keep Wait. How could there be 2 Spider-Men? There can't be 2 Spider-Men. Can there?
Along with Haley Steinfeld's Gwen Stacy and Jake Johnson's Peter B. Parker, Into the Spiderverse also introduced us to Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man Noir and John Mulaney's Spider-Ham, and for that we say thank you so much. This 97% certified fresh film was somewhat of a surprise hit, pulling in over $375 million against a $90 million budget, and winning both a BAFTA and an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. And more Spider-Man at the Oscars is always a good thing. Well, my friends, my Spidey tingle is telling me that this list is over. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. For more on all the Spider-Man movies that we discussed today, be sure to hit up RottenTomatoes.com. And thank you so much for checking out today's list. Until next time, I'm your host, Naz Perez, and we'll see you back here for more Rotten Tomatoes Countdown.